Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Versi Adams, ISO 9001 2015 auditor and consultant. What I want to do is today I want to talk with you about the upcoming changes to the ISO 9001 2015's revision. As you know, or most of you may know by now, that the ISO 9001 standard has been revised. It's in a draft format, available for download from the ISO website. The revision is set to release in 2026 of this year. Again, the draft format is available online at the ISO website for $85. So one thing I want to say is before you purchase the ISO 9001 2026 draft, make sure that you understand that it is a draft and it is subject to change when the official release comes out in September of this year. So again, it is a draft format and it's set to release officially in September. One thing from my experience, I've learned that whenever an ISO standard is set to be revised and it's in draft format, normally the changes between the draft and the final release are very minimal. So I just want to just let you know this so that if you do go ahead and download the 2026 revision, the draft, just understand that it's not final and there may be some changes coming out in the final release in September. Okay, so just think about that because um, if you go forward and start making changes to your quality management system documents based on the draft, is a quite quite a possibility that you might have to make some more changes when the final release comes out in September of this year. Just want you to think about that before you go forward. Okay, everyone. The first thing I want to talk about is the terminology clarifications within the 2026 draft. So the draft refines some definitions and structure, but does not fundamentally change core concepts such as the process approach, PDCA, plan, do, check, act, customer focus, and then finally continual improvement. So these core concepts are going to remain the same. There's no impact at all. They stay intact. So nothing to worry about there. Okay, so let's do it again. So, first thing I want to talk about is terminology clarifications. So, the draft refines some definitions and structure, but does not fundamentally change core concepts such as process approach, PDCA cycle, which is a plan, do, check, act cycle, customer focus, and continual improvement. All of these remain intact, they remain the same. Okay, let's address expanded normative references. So in ISO 9001 2015, there were references in the normative section. In ISO 9001, again, 2015, there were vocabulary references. So this draft, the 2026 draft, adds ISO 3534-2 statistics vocabulary. So it's really important. It defines statistics in terms of vocabulary so that there's a clearer understanding about the vocabulary in terms of statistics and how it's going to apply, throughout your various processes. And then also the ISO CD 9001 updates have been added. So this reflects a greater emphasis on data and statistical evaluation for all organizations. Okay. Okay. High level themes of change, key directional shifts. So sustainability and climate considerations, quality culture and ethical behavior emphasis, a stronger integration with business strategy, expanded stakeholder expectations. Opportunity-based thinking is clarified, not only risk. So in the past, only risk was clarified. Now in the 2026 revision, opportunity is clarified. More guidance for you there. Alignment with modern environmental social governance expectations. Now, beginning with the structure comparison. So the good news is that the clause structure will remain the same. The same seven clauses that you've been audited against since 2015 will remain the same. 4.0 context of the organization, 5.0 leadership, 6.0 planning, 7.0 support, 8.0 operation, 9.0 performance evaluation, and last but not least, 11.0 improvement. They will all remain the same. The changes within the standard will be taking place within those same seven clauses. Okay. PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act, and the process approach are still core to the standard. No changes there. Let's talk about expanded leadership responsibilities in the 2026 draft. So the 2026 draft adds emphasis on quality culture, ethical behavior, and strategic integration into business direction. Okay, let's get into risk versus opportunity clarification. So opportunities are explicitly separated from risks in the 2026 draft. Clause 6.1 is restructured into three subsections. 6.11, determining risk and opportunities. 6.12, actions to address risk. And 6.13, actions to address opportunities. So it's explicitly separated as opposed to the prior standard, the current standard rather, 2015, it doesn't separate opportunities. Okay, sustainability and strategic direction link. So the 2026 introduction explicitly links the quality management system to two different things: sustainability development and to long-term performance. Okay, so the context of organization expansion. So in the 2026 draft, context must consider environmental and climate drivers, broader societal expectations, and then last but not least, ethical and cultural factors. So the climate drivers, we already knew that was going to come because it was an addendum to the 2015 standard that everyone needed to comply with prior to the release of 2026. So again, so environmental, climate drivers, broader societal expectations, and then last but not least, ethical and cultural factors. So the quality culture concept is an emerging theme. So it's not a standalone clause, but it's embedded into leadership expectations, organizational behavior, into ethics and values. So again, the quality culture concept. Again, we need to think about the new requirement in terms of leadership expectations, organizational behavior, and ethics and values. Okay, more on the quality culture concept, again, which is an emerging theme in the 2026 draft. I want to expand on that. So, I put together a sample quality culture statement for a typical manufacturing organization. So, at ABC Company, quality is not a department, it's a shared responsibility. We foster a culture where leadership demonstrates commitment, employees take ownership, processes are followed with discipline, risks are managed proactively, communication is open, and continuous improvement is expected. Our culture ensures that customer requirements, regulatory obligations, and internal standards are consistently met. So I want to go one more time on it. I want to expand on the quality culture concept one more time. So how do we measure quality culture? This is going to be important for audits. So since you're ISO 9001 certified, auditors may ask you, how do you know your quality culture is effective? You can measure it through several ways: through internal audit trends, corrective action recurrence rates, first pass yield, scrap and rework rate, on-time delivery, training completion rates, employee suggestion submissions, near miss reporting frequency. So again, so quality culture must be observable and measurable. Keep that in mind. Okay, so for the next 6 slides, I want to talk about another new requirement to the 26 revision: ethical behavior. So some examples of ethical behavior, honest product quality, right? Employees and managers never ship product that they know does not meet specifications. Examples would be an inspector rejects a batch of parts that fail tolerance instead of passing them to meet a shipping deadline. A machinist reports a damaged tool that may affect part quality. Quality personnel do not alter inspection data to make results appear acceptable. If a defect is discovered after shipment, the company notifies the customer immediately. This is one of the most critical ethical expectations in manufacturing because safety and reliability may depend on it. Continuing with ethical behavior. So, accurate documentation and records. Manufacturing relies heavily on controlled documentation, inspection reports, and traceability records. Ethical behavior includes recording actual measurement results, not estimated values, signing inspection reports only after performing the inspection, not backdating documents to make it appear procedures were followed, maintaining traceability records honestly. For example, a technician should never fill out an inspection report for work they did not perform. Fair and honest dealings with suppliers. Procurement decisions should be based on objective criteria rather than personal gain. Examples of this would be purchasing staff do not accept gifts or kickbacks from suppliers in exchange for contracts. Supplier selection is based on quality, price, capability, and delivery performance. Confidential supplier information is protected and bids are evaluated fairly. Okay, continuing on with ethical behavior, workplace safety and responsibility. So, ethical organizations prioritize employee safety over production speed. Examples stopping a machine if a safety guard is missing, reporting unsafe conditions instead of ignoring them. Management never pressuring employees to bypass safety controls to meet production targets. Respectful treatment of employees. Ethical manufacturing companies promote dignity and fairness in the workplace. Examples no harassment, discrimination, or retaliation, fair scheduling and overtime practices, equal opportunity in training and advancement, and then respectful communication between supervisors and operators. Okay, so more on ethical behavior. So, environmental responsibility. Manufacturers have a responsibility to minimize environmental impact. Examples would be proper disposal of hazardous materials, compliance with environmental regulations, preventing pollution and reporting spills immediately, reducing waste and improving energy efficiency, protection of confidential information. Companies often handle proprietary designs, customer specifications, and intellectual property. So, ethical behavior includes not sharing customer drawings with competitors, protecting engineering designs and trade secrets, and following information technology security and access control policies. Okay, these are the last items we're going to talk about with ethical behavior. So, speaking up about problems, ethical cultures encourage employees to report issues without fear. Examples would be reporting quality concerns to management, raising concerns about unethical conduct, using whistleblower channels if necessary. Honest communication with customers. Customers rely on accurate information. So, examples of this would be providing realistic delivery dates, informing customers about delays or quality issues, and not exaggerating capability during sales discussions. And last, compliance with laws and regulations. So, manufacturing companies must comply with regulatory requirements. Examples of these would be following export control laws, ITAR, EAR, if applicable, complying with safety regulations such as OSHA, and maintaining required certifications and licenses. Okay, ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So, environmental focuses on companies' role as a steward of nature. Expectations include minimizing greenhouse gas emissions, improving energy efficiency, managing waste and pollution, and ensuring responsible water usage. So, waste reduction, recycling scrap metal, aluminum chips, and packaging materials, implementing lean manufacturing to reduce material waste. Energy efficiency, using energy efficient CNC machines and lighting systems such as LED factory lighting. Monitoring facility energy consumption and setting reduction targets. Pollution prevention, proper containment and disposal of coolants, oils, and hazardous chemicals. Installing filtration systems for machining, mist, and air emissions. Waste management, recycling coolant or water used in machining processes, and then preventing discharge of contaminated water into the sewer system. Okay, continuing on with ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So, social. The social component focuses on how the company treats employees, customers, and the community. Examples include employee health and safety. So, maintaining a strong safety program aligned with OSHA requirements, providing PPE and machine guarding and safety training, fair labor practices, equal opportunity employment and non discrimination policies, fair wages and responsible working hours, workplace health and safety, diversity, equity, and inclusion, otherwise known as DEI, training and workforce development. So, providing employee training programs in the areas of technical skills, quality awareness, and safety, and apprenticeships or career development opportunities. Okay, continuing with ESG, environmental, social, and governance, specifically governance. So, governance refers to how the company is directed, controlled, and held accountable. Examples of this can include ethical leadership. So, establishing a company code of ethics, leadership demonstrating integrity and transparency, compliance with laws and regulations. So, following export control laws, examples ITAR or EAR, if applicable, and then complying with safety, labor, and environmental regulations. Anti corruption policies. So, prohibiting bribery, kickbacks, or conflicts of interest in the supplier selection process. Accurate records and transparency. Maintaining honest financial, quality, and operational records. And then preventing falsification of inspection or production data. Okay, environmental, social, and governance. So, to summarize what we talked about in the previous slides, a simple ESG example for a machining company, a small company, manufacturing company might demonstrate ESG like this. Environmental, recycling metal chips and coolant, installing LED lighting and energy efficient equipment. Social, okay, providing regular safety training and PPE, maintaining a respectful workplace and offering skills training. And then last but not least, governance, maintaining a code of ethics, keeping accurate inspection records, and following document control procedures. Okay, now we're going to get into one other major change in the 2026 draft, which is climate change consideration. So, climate change in organizational context, which is clause 4.1, now explicitly requires organizations to determine whether climate change is a relevant issue for them. Okay. So identifying extreme weather risks, heat waves, flooding, wildfires, storms that could disrupt operations, recognizing energy supply instability due to climate related power shortages, evaluating how environmental regulations related to climate change could affect manufacturing processes. Clause 4.1 expands examples of external issues to include such as political, environmental, climate, strategic direction factors, legal, technological, competitive, cultural, social, economic, Environmental issues, whether international, national, regional, or local. Okay, so more on climate change consideration. Again, a major change in the 2026 draft requirements. So, climate expectations of interested parties, as defined in Clause 4.2, organizations must show where applicable. Customers requiring carbon footprint reporting, local regulations requiring emission reporting or energy efficiency improvements, environmental supply chain risk, energy emissions considerations, and then regulatory climate requirements. So ISO 9001 2026, what stay the same or will likely stay the same? The process approach, the PDCA model, Plan, Do, Check, Act, risk-based planning, customer-focused principle, the clause structure, clause 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, will stay the same. And documented information concept, the concept of documented information and controlling that documented information. 3. Okay, what will likely impact audits the most? Okay, start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. What will likely impact audits the most? So, some top audit hotspots expected: climate relevance determination, evidence of sustainability considerations, leadership culture demonstration, ethics and governance integration, and then stakeholder environmental expectations. Okay, so let's talk about some transition risk for certified companies. So companies currently certified to ISO 9001 2015, some risk of the transition to 2026. So these are just a few that I've identified. So missing climate relevance assessment, no documented sustainability consideration, and then leadership not demonstrating cultural ownership. Okay. Again, some things to think about in terms of transition risk. Okay, everyone. So now that we're at the end of the presentation, I have a little summary I just want to go over with you. So, in the areas of climate change, 2015 revision was not mentioned. So, in the 2026 draft, it's explicit requirement. It's an explicit requirement in clauses 4.1 and 4.2. In risk planning, so in the 2015, it was combined, risk and opportunity were combined in the same clause. Now, in the 2026 draft, they separate clauses for risk and opportunity. Context analysis. So in 2015, focused on economic, market, and culture. Now it's expanded to environmental and political. Okay. Strategic alignment. 2015, it was implied. Now in the 2026 draft, it's a stronger integration with strategy. Okay. Opportunity thinking in the 2015 revision, it was implied, but now in the 2026 draft, it's explicitly emphasized. Okay, the ISO integration. 2015, it was high level. Now in the 2026 draft, it's aligned to the modern ISO harmonized structure. And then last but not least, statistical references in the 2015 revision were minimal. Now, in the 2026 draft, they've added the ISO 3534-2 2006 standard, which focuses on statistics, vocabulary, and the symbols within those statistics. Okay, so again, everyone, thank you very much. I really appreciate you listening to this presentation. I hope that you have gained some knowledge that's going to help you go out there and start preparing for the official release of ISO 9001 2026, stated for September of this year. Thank you very much.